What's up everyone? So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at quadratic graphs. By the end of this video you should understand how a quadratic graph works and how we would plot them, and we'll also understand how to find every point on a quadratic that is important. So let's start with something easy, something like this. On the graph, draw y equals x squared minus x minus 6 from minus 3 to 3. You remember how when we did this for a linear equation, we would have x on here and y on here? Well, it's exactly the same thing. So we know that our range is from minus 3 to 3. So let's put it there. Minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay. And now what we need to do is we need to substitute x in for y. So for x equals minus 3, y is equal to minus 3 squared minus minus 3 minus 6, which is equal to 9 plus 3 minus 6. Y is equal to 6. Let's do it for the next number. Minus 2. So for x is equal to minus 2, y is equal to minus 2 all squared, minus minus 2, minus 6. So we're left with 4 plus 2 minus 6 is equal to 0. And so on and so forth. So when we substitute in the numbers, we get 6, which is here. We'll get 0, which we've already worked out as well. Now we need to sub in minus 1. So when we sub in minus 1, we get minus 1 squared minus 1, minus 1, so it should be minus 4. When we sub in 0, we should get minus 6. And then we do the same, so if we have a minus 1 squared, we're minusing the 1 this time, so it should be minus 6 as well. If we sub in 2, we get 2 squared, 4, minus 2, minus 6, that's going to be also minus 4. And then this, if we sub in 3, we get 9 minus 3 minus 6, that's obviously 0. So then now it's time to plot it. So when x is equal to minus 3, y is equal to 6, so let's plot it here. When x is equal to minus 2, y is equal to 0, so let's put 0 here. Then it's minus 4, and then it's minus 6, then it's minus 6 again, and then it's minus 4, which is here, and then finally it's 0. And now we need to curve the points together. We can't do it straight like we did last time. It's going to have to be slightly curved. So what we're left with is something that looks like this. Now, notice how this side is equal to this side, because a quadratic graph, is symmetrical. Yeah? So, okay, let's do something like this. How would we work out the roots of x squared minus 7x plus 10 is equal to 0? The roots are simply when x is equal to, no, not when x, when y is equal to 0. So for this example, if y equals x squared minus 7x plus 10, right? X squared minus 7x plus 10 is equal to 0. Now, for this example, it's very easy. It's just going to be this point here and this point here. So x is equal to 2 and 5. But if, let's say, we didn't know and we didn't have this grid, we would have to solve this. So what number adds to make -7 but multiplies to make +10? Exactly. -5 and -2. So therefore x is equal to 5 and 2. Now, to work out the turning point, it's just that point here, which there are two ways we can work this out. We can either find the midpoint of this x here and then sub in x for the equation, or what we can do is we can complete the square. So if x squared minus 7x plus 10 is equal to 0, if you remember, the complete the square tells us that x squared plus bx plus c is identical to x plus b over 2 all squared minus b squared over 4 plus c, where this will be the minus x of the turning point and this will be the y. So if x squared minus 7x plus 10 is equal to 0, then that means then that x minus 7 over 2 all squared minus 49 over 4 plus 10 is equal to 0. And now we're just going to summarize this part here. So what's 49 over 4 plus 10? Minus 49 over 4 plus 10 is going to be equal to 9 over 4. So we're left with is x minus 7 over 2 all squared minus 9 over 4 is equal to 0. And now we're told that this is going to be our minus x. So this point here is my plus, because this is a minus, it's going to be a plus, just change the sign. This will be 7 over 2 and minus 9 over 4. Let's see an example. So if we have an example like this, how are we going to find points A, B, C and D? Well, A is very easy. A is simply the y-intercept, which is minus 8. Yeah? A is the y-intercept, so we can say that A is equal to 0 minus 8. For part B and C, what we need to do is we need to solve the equation, because B and C are the roots. So what we say is y is equal to 0, and therefore x squared plus 6x minus 8 is equal to 0. Okay, think of two numbers that add up to make minus 8 but multiply, add up to make 6 but multiply to make minus 8. Thinking, I don't know. So let's use the quadratic formula, sure. So if we use the quadratic formula, we're told x is equal to minus 6 plus minus the square root of 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times minus 8, all divided by 2 times 1. And so we're left with this minus 6 plus minus 2 root 17, if I put that correctly in my calculator. And it's all over 2. So therefore, B, because we can see that this is the negative one, the one most on the left, right? B is equal to minus 6 minus 2 root 17, over 2, which is equal to, if I can pop that in my calculator, 7.12 to 3 significant figures. So therefore B is going to be 7.120. And C is simply going to be equal to minus 6 minus 2 root 17 over 2. Plus, sorry. This is going to be plus now. And if we add it, what we'll get is 1.12 to 3 significant figures. And so therefore we can say that this is 1.120. So now that we found both the roots, the only thing that's left is to find what D is. And to do that, we're going to complete the square. So we are told before that this is the general rule to complete the square. Let's use it. So x minus plus 3 all squared minus 3 squared minus 8 is equal to 0. And so what we're left with is x plus 3 all squared minus, what's 3 squared? 3 squared is 9. 9 minus 9 minus 8 is going to be 17. And so now we can find what the turning point is. So this is going to be minus x, which is obviously just going to be, let me put that in purple. It's going to be minus 3. And then this is y, which is simply going to be minus 17. We can also do this with an example like shown. So for this one we're told y equals 2x squared minus 9x plus 10. What are the coordinates of all these points? Well, we know that this is going to be 0, 10, because this is the y-intercept. And now the next thing we need to do is we need to find the roots. So if we find the roots, right, this has to equal 0. So therefore, let's make it equal to 0. 2x squared minus 9x plus 10 is equal to 0. And so what can we do? We can multiply 2 and 10. So 2 and 10 is equal to 20. What are two numbers that add up to make minus 9 but multiply to make 20? Have a think, have a think, have a think. Minus 4 and minus 5. So now we're left with 2x, and then we split the minus 9 into minus 4x minus 5x plus 10 is equal to 0. And now we factorize what we've got. So then this becomes 2x times x minus 2. And this becomes minus 5 times x minus 2. Sorry, x minus 2. Yeah? And so we're left with 2x minus 5 times x minus 2 is equal to 0. So we know that x is equal to 2 and 2x minus 5 is equal to 0. So x is equal to 5 over 2. But which is which? B is on 2, so we can clearly label B as 2, 0. And we can label C as 5 over 2, 0. And now all we need to do is complete the square. But I also mentioned that there's another method you could use to work out what the x coordinate is for the turning point. So we know that the roots are 2 and minus 5 over 2, right? So therefore, the turning point is going to equal the average of those two, which is going to be 2 plus 5 over 2 divided by 2, which is equal to 2.25. And now, all we need to do is sub in 2.25 into our original equation to work out what y is. So y is equal to 2.25 squared times 2 minus 9 times 2.25 plus 10. And if we plug in all of that, we should get an answer of minus 1 over 8. And so we can say with certainty that D is equal to 2.25 minus 0.125. I like to pick one or the other when it comes to these. Like, pick either fractions or decimals. I don't like to mix. But, hey, it's not wrong if you do it like that. Right, I hope that video made sense. Thank you guys very much for watching. If you guys enjoyed, do subscribe. If you guys want extra content, join my Discord server. And if you guys want extra tutoring, drop me an email and I can organize a quote and a free meeting. Keep on learning, as you have no idea what you're capable of doing.